Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table Podcast. My name is Paul Berserker 01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the Astropub, your professor on the Astro Historian, and your moderator here on the Captain's Table Podcast. This is a podcast I've been doing for 9 years now, where we talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more. We bring people from all over the Star Citizen universe to talk together, content creators, organization members, and this topic may sound very familiar because we talked about engineering in our call-in show, the Pub Chat, last week. But I wanted to get folks together to discuss less about the immediate details of the engineering tech preview and more about the long-term impact of engineering on the game. Since there seemed to be a lot of discussion in the comments as well about how this is the awful thing, it's going to scare people away. And there was a couple comments in there. There's this is just poorly designed and CIG is messing it up and so on and so forth. So I decided to bring some folks together, asked Tomato to come in, and then Cepheus and Axis decided to join us as well to discuss this topic. So before we get started, though, I'm going to start with Space Tomato. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? And where can they find you?
Hello, I'm a Tomato. I make space videos, generally about Star Citizen, sometimes about other games, but I like to talk about Star Citizen. I focus on trying to explain the development, the history and how it affects the future of the development, kind of the overall ideas behind Star Citizen and where it's headed. I also do daily news. So I have two channels I do information videos on: Space Tomato Gaming. Space Tomato 2 does daily news, it does podcasts like this. And it does just generally keeping up with what's going on a more day-to-day basis. I got a gameplay channel, Space Tomato Plays, where I upload obviously gameplay, and then all of that stuff gets done live on my live stream, which is on Twitch or on YouTube at Space Tomato Gaming. So there's a bunch of different ways you can find my content. You could just Google search Space Tomato if you want. I think that usually works well enough as long as you don't find my Only Toes profile. And you can join us on Discord as well. We got an org and we do stuff and we play and we talk, and yeah, it's good times.
If you like stuff like this, you can also check out. You mentioned the lunch sequence, but you do the lunch sequence and then the Citizen Central. And I end up almost always on one of those two at some point, at least yeah. once every 2 months at least. And it's because Tomatoes like, Paul, you available? I'm like, I could be available. You want me to come talk about Star Citizen? Sure, I'll do that. I don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, Mrs. Tomato has to tell me whether or not it's been long enough that Paul's been on the show to
bring him back. I make her work too much often because me and Tomato will get into some spicy conversation. It'll get entirely cut from the videos because I'm the dumb one who brings up stupid things.
Fix it in post.
Yeah. And then we've got Mr. Axis 0096. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you? I'm gonna flip you too.
You can find me pretty much everywhere. Well, short of a few places, but I'm a member of the Luna Wolves as well as a few other orgs, Tomatoes included. I pretty much am an industrial and exploratory player. I'm not more of a seasoned combat veteran, but been around probably about 6 years now. In fact, this month we'll celebrate my... Oh, what's with my camera? It's moving around.
I'm moving you around because I realized that you were faced like you were looking away from us, so I wanted to make sure.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's my side. We had some technical problems here when we started. There we go. That's better.
That's better. Yeah, I it's just I drift around a lot.
Where can they find you?
Pretty much Twitch and YouTube are my primary areas. I also trying to get on other lesser known platforms to spread the word about Star Citizen, Rumble and X recently. I've actually started getting a fairly large number of X watchers, which is unusual. Some people have actually asked a couple of good questions over there, but it's pretty rare for now. But
I hear MySpace is great for Star Citizen.
Maybe. There are a lot of grandpas that still use it.
All right. Then we've got Mr. Cepheus. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
Hello, I am Cepheus. I am my main thing is I'm a org leader. I run the org Northern Star, a growing medium-sized org that focuses on more or less anything. I try to bring the perspective of not so much of a content creator, but the perspective of an org leader, someone who kind of explores the multi-crew components of the game, how larger groups can work together, what CIG does that affects those kinds of things. You can find Northern Star at Northern Star SC on YouTube, NSPC on RSI, or just Northern Star on RSI. And anywhere like there, you got links to our Discord in there. And yeah, that's what I do. I bring people together. I try to make friends.
Awesome. I don't know if you mentioned your day job, because it's always interesting, because you work as a pilot, which
I'm
I'm
an
sure
airline pilot. Yes.
which
So I
you have a lot of free time suddenly.
yeah, I have I have a particular flavor of expertise when it comes to certain things, but yeah.
All right. All right. Let's start off with just the first topic. Generally speaking, your thoughts on engineering as it pertains to Star Citizen. For those of you who don't know, the tech preview is out. It's out for this entire weekend as we're recording this for engineering. So if you are an Eve Academy member, you can go test it out right now. And it was tested like a week ago as well. So this is like back-to-back weeks of them testing the engineering tech preview. So none of us have actually played the latest version, but we're just mostly just talking about the overall impact of engineering. So Cepheus, your general thoughts on engineering as it pertains to Star Citizen.
I am unbelievably excited. It's going to completely shift the paradigm of Star Citizen's gameplay, I think, for everybody. My biggest point of excitement is definitely for capital ship gameplay, because right now my if I want to crew up an Idris and get 12 people together for an Idris, that they have approximately 2 jobs or 3 jobs that they can do. They can either fly the thing, they can fly a fighter off the thing, or they can turret gun. And there's only so much you can do with those 3 roles, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to giving engineering that role a thing to do. Damage control is going to become a really important thing. It's a whole nother avenue of things that people can practice with and train on, and it adds so much more depth to these big fights. And I hope kind of evens the playing field a little bit. Of 8 people in an Idris is worse than 8 light fighters, and I don't feel it should be that way. So overall, I'm extremely excited.
All right. Axis, same question to you. Overall, your general feeling about engineering.
I think it's going to shift more than just ships. I've said this for a while, since they started saying anything about base building or engineering, in general. It's a big interrelated system. I'm sure Tomato will agree with me as well that even ground bases, if we think it's just going to be ships and vehicles that have engineering, we're fooling ourselves. There's going to be some level of engineering needed in certain aspects of the game we're not expecting, like base building, possibly generators, power supplies, linkages, things that people like power companies do in the real world. Keeping maintenance going. You have to maintain power lines in cities as well as vehicles, right?
Yeah. All right.
I mean, that's my opinion.
Tomato, your thoughts on engineering.
It is wildly, I think, it's like one of those things that probably is making a lot more of a difference to people before it comes in the game than after. Like many people will, engineering is going to land and their gameplay is not going to change. And a lot of people think that it's going to be like a huge difference. It feels more like the guide rails, like the little safety bars on the side of your bowling alley. They keep you within a level of performance. It's not like you have to be repairing your ship every hour or every 10 minutes. You don't have to keep every relay working perfectly. Not every component needs to be at full health. It's kind of just like one of those always on your mind sort of things. It's like I need to pay attention to what I'm actually doing and not just go crazy. Um, I don't know. I see it the same as a health bar. Like people talk about useless things that like put you in more danger or give you more risk in the game or something like that. But that's what a health bar is. You know, we're just used to that because it's a normal part of the game. But a health bar at the end of the day is yet another deterrent to keep you playing in a certain way. So I think as a feature, engineering is most interesting because it will affect every player differently because everybody's playing. Somebody might need to focus on engineering because they run 3 mining lasers at the same time as their refinery station on their Galaxy or on their or Astra, whatever it is. Somebody else might need to worry about it because they've got a bunch of turrets running all at the same time. Somebody else might have to worry about it because they're a cargo hauler and they just don't pay attention to their ship and they've been running interstellar routes for 2 weeks and like their quantum drive is failing. I find it interesting because it's not a one size fits all sort of solution or consequence that we all are looking at the same way. We're all kind of considering how it fits into our gameplay, and I love game systems like that. So I'm really excited for it, but I'm also, uh, reserving judgment to see just how well it balances into the game.
All right. I'm cautiously optimistic is a word that came around a lot when I was talking with the like during the pub chat. A lot of people who had played it, they were cautiously optimistic about it. I know I talked with Execute about it as well, who said it was just just so more in depth than he thought he was going to be. As somebody who's played a lot of like multi-crew games, like Sea of Thieves, and then you and I both played Jump Ship,
Jump Space.
Jump Space. Sorry, it's
Did they rename it?
They renamed it because of
Yeah,
some
that's
legal
it.
thing.
Yeah.
But we I expected something just a little bit more in depth than that, and so I'm hoping that it adds enough depth to give an entire gameplay loop some meaning, while also improving multi-crew gameplay. Because to me,
Yeah.
engineering was never and is never going to be a solo endeavor. Like having like a small fighter or something like that. You shouldn't necessarily feel like you're at a detriment, but I don't think you should certainly. You shouldn't be as invincible as well. Not even invincible. It shouldn't really see any difference. Like you said, Tomato. Like people will just
Yeah.
won't
It's
change
just, dude,
people's.
it's ridiculous how much people think you can't go out in an arrow and just play the game. It's
Yeah.
the same thing as what we're doing now. You just have to go back to the space station to repair. Now you could do it out in the field if you want.
Yeah. Hopefully, when we get to that point. But the biggest change I think is going to be the larger ships, even like medium and large ships where you have like maybe one solo person. But I like we'll see, and we'll get into that when we go to the difficulties, the problems, and the advantages. For me, it's always been part of the dream of Star Citizen. Engineering has always been part of that vision because it was supposed to be a fun multi-crew spaceship game that you can fly around in.
Yeah.
So, seeing it being developed now and seeing what they've done, I have hope. But at the same time, I am cautiously optimistic about what the first version will be. I think overall, though, it's a good addition to the game.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's kind of interesting you say that because it is a long-term thing a lot of people have been waiting for. For some people, this was like the whole reason they joined the game. But then there's the flip side of a lot of people feel like this is the kind of thing that when they add this into the game, it will drive a lot of people away.
mhm.
And I wonder, in your opinion, do you think that it's more important for them to try and keep this system lenient or easy enough to attract the most people, or should they try and push for like the idea that they set out for with engineering, even if it means driving players away who maybe have joined more recently and weren't interested?
I mean, I am an old man yelling at clouds. I want this game to be what they wanted it, what they pitched it as, because the reality is that I don't think they're going to change their vision so dramatically to appeal to a wider audience. I feel like there's a huge sort of like pearl clutching that's been going on, where like the people who are like, especially the sim folks, the people who've been super into Sims, not the game, the sim at You know what I mean.
You know, The Sims 4. Yeah,
The Sims
that one.
4, yeah.
Clearly that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the huge population of Sims 4 players who play Star Citizen.
Hygiene gameplay, dude.
I joke about that, but there's probably is a huge portion of Sims 4 players who play Star Citizen. But the Sim folks have been lamenting of the like arcadification of Star Citizen and how this game sucks now because it doesn't. But I mean, I've heard those complaints since like the first Arena Commander modules. People were like this game sucks now. This isn't as in depth as I want it to be, and so it's hard for me to sit there and take a lot of that with anything but a grain of salt. So I do believe that the reason why people play Star Citizen isn't for the mechanics. Because there are no mechanics in Star Citizen right now. It basically is empty. The reason that people are attracted to Star Citizen is the vibes. And the vibes are still good 13 years later. And so as a result, no matter how CIG changes the gameplay, as long as they don't change the vibes, they'll do well.
Yeah, but dude, now they're starting to build the game.
Yes.
like they spent
I'd
the first 10
also-
years kind of just chilling
Yeah,
and
but-
developing.
but I don't
I would
see
also
the
argue
vibes
it would be the
changing.
community too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the vibes I don't think are going to change just because they start adding the mechanics. The mechanics are part of that overall vibes. It should be like focusing the vibes more, but the general feeling of the game that they built is still going to stay the same. Like you said, just because you hop into if you're in an arrow fighting or doing fighting, it's not going to change your experience at all because the game's going to be the same. Actually, it's going to improve your experience because now they're going to have some sort of auto repair system, maybe at least now for like one, but they may have multiple. That might be a new extension to your ship where like you can get multiple auto repairs, but you have to sacrifice something else. And so you can now
Like a
repair
blade.
your ship, like a blade or something like that. And I mean, that's the reason why people buy ships that I think suck, vibes, and so on and so forth. So for good or for ill, that's the case. So I don't think that it will chase away a lot of folks. But I'll return the question and flip it back on you there, Tomato. What are, because you just asked about something like this, what are the negative aspects of engineering? What are some of the downsides that could come out, or do you think are there with engineering being released? Like we're talking the concept of engineering, not necessarily version 1 of engineering.
Mm-hmm. I think the real big negative that we could see is it's really in CIG's hands. It's whether or not they balance balance it. If they have malfunctions and misfires happening too often for no reason, then that's really annoying, and that does kill the vibe, right? Because the vibe is kind of, you get what you put in. You get what you paid for. If you're taking care of your ship, you shouldn't have misfires. Your ship shouldn't randomly be, losing power and stuff. So I think they do need to be careful with how actively the engineering system pushes back against you.
Mhm.
That's really the biggest downside I could see. And if they can make sure that doesn't get too cumbersome for people, I think that would be fine. Otherwise, I don't know, fires. If they use fires too much, it really all just feels kind of like however much CIG
balance
wields
it.
it. Yeah.
All right. Axis, same question to you. What are the downsides that you see with engineering as a gameplay mechanic?
Well, they're making it either too simple and easy or making it too hard for even seasoned people to do it. Maybe even I see some people saying there from Eve online in the comments, maybe even making it too hard for them to make sense of it. And that's saying a lot. But for the simple crowd, making it, where it's boring, redundant, like nothing happens, no incidents, no fires, no malfunctions, like you and Tomato were just discussing, or too hard where misfires happen all the time. And even if you get a full repair, it's like, do I have to spend more money to get a new ship? right?
Mhm.
Like, do we want that level of hard repair? That would be kind of like, what's the point kind of situation. And I know I'm kind of going to two different extremes, but you have to be in the middle to get a certain type of happy medium.
Okay.
And
So you're like you're agreeing with Space Tomato in general. Like it's more about the balance than it is the mechanics themselves, like how they
I
balance
think
it.
it's also the mechanics too. They need to be challenging enough, but also a decent balance.
Okay.
I do agree with Tomato on the balance. That is definitely it. But also the mechanics need to be challenging enough, but rewarding when something does get fixed. Sorry if I'm a little loud.
No, you're good. I moved you up a little bit so we could get a little stuff though. Cepheus, same question to you. What are some of the downsides that you foresee with engineering as a mechanic?
The biggest risk I think CIG faces, like I'm not Evocati. I don't have access to the to playing the tech preview, but I've seen some of the footage that has gotten out, and plenty of screenshots, and of course all the stuff that CIG showed us before. My biggest concern is that a lot of players are going to see, ooh, cool space game. They're gonna buy it, they're gonna log in, they're gonna go to their buddy's constellation, open the engineering panel, and go, nah, I'm good. And just look at that and be like, that's I don't want to learn that. I signed up to play a cool space game and blow things up, not learn how to fly an actual aircraft. Um, as someone who flies actual aircraft, the more complicated the better for me, right? My org has plans to have an entire like group of people dedicated to just, hey, you need a spare engineer, whatever you fly, we're good at it. Like that's their plan. I hope it's complex enough for that to be able to happen, for that to be practical and required and needed. um but the line between that and people just being, oh hell no, as soon as they open up an engineering screen, I think is pretty thin. um I am sure CIG will find a way to balance it over many different iterations after a lot of player feedback. I doubt they're going to get it right on the first
Oh
patch.
yeah.
And kind of like Axis and Tomato have said, I'm concerned about balance. I don't want fire to just kill my ship every time someone throws a rock at me. I also don't want to just be able to vent my whole ship and never have to worry about fire. I want there to be kind of a, you got to think about it, but it doesn't bother you. I think a good example is food and hydration, how that works in the game. You got to consider it, but it doesn't bother you constantly.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're giving it a passing thought and preparing, you're okay. If they can strike that balance, I think it'll work well.
All right. Yes, I think my biggest concern is it comes down to the balance, because one of the things that I've seen a lot of people complain about is that like right now, and this might just be a bug, where if you boot up the engineering gameplay, things will just be broken. Like you spawn on a ship and stuff will already be broken, and like things like the cooling not starting off when you start up the ship, so you have to like manually start up the cooling. Those little things. I know those are a little bit of annoying right now, but that's just bugs and balance. But I do think that's my biggest concern, at least in the short term, is them finding that balance. I think long term, they'll find that balance, but it might cause some people to lose their starry-eyedness when it comes to Star Citizen. You know, like I wonder how many people are going to attempt to get rid of their capital ships when engineering first comes out, because they're like, oh yeah, I can play this game with me, and then I can get NPCs, and then like there won't be NPCs before 1.0, and so those sorts of issues, I feel like could like severely affect players' perception of the game in the short term. The problem comes down to, for me, is that it's mostly a short-term issue. I don't see this as a long-term issue, because once you have it in there, once you set that broken bone, it's there. I don't see engineering doing anything but balancing once it's introduced. So on the flip side, let's do some hopeful introspection. Cepheus, same question to you.
I'm sorry. Can I ask a follow-up real quick, just to what Cepheus said there? Because you had mentioned like a new player jumping in and getting intimidated, and I do wonder, do you feel like it is a system that should be accessible to somebody who jumps in for like the very first time, or should this be something that's a little more advanced that you work up to?
Are you asking me or
You,
Astro?
Cepheus. Yeah.
You.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be it should be a very sliding scale based on what ship you're in. If you go and buy your starter pack with an Intrepid or something, and you go look at the engineering panel in the back of the Intrepid, it should be simple. It should be easy. You go hop in someone's Idris and look at that. That should be, holy crap, what am I looking at? And that's when the Idris's chief engineer comes over and explains things to you. Ideally, that's how it should work. It should be a bit variable. In my opinion, it should be variable depending on the size of the ship. But, obviously a player that has bought a Constellation or has bought a Perseus before they even have opened the game for the first time, they're going to get very overwhelmed, I think. And they
Right.
kind of should.
Yeah.
I am curious, depending on chip size and complexity, when does the system start getting more and more advanced and more parts added to the internal framework? I'm no engineer, but even I, as somebody who builds things like Lego sets, as you get more and more complex models, you need more and more internal parts and components, right?
Mhm.
So, like an Intrepid, like you just said, is a very simple, small ship.
Mhm.
But how would it be different from an Avenger Titan, which is slightly larger? Would there be slightly more linkages, more junctions?
I think it's the relay layout, like just the layout of the different things it's going to be the difference between two ships of the same size.
Yeah. Sorry to get off on this tangent, Paul.
No, it's good. It's a good discussion because I think for me, I think the UI is also a potential hazardous because CIG is awful at UI, and that's not just like that's a personal opinion. That is the one thing I have heard universally from people outside of the community is that Star Citizen's UI. It feels like it was designed by a chimpanzee smashing rocks against a tree rather than a UI designer. Not to throw shade on the UI design because I know they're being pulled 15 different directions, but it's clunky. It's clunky,
I think it's
not
fun.
really intuitive. And I think that is, especially like if you just look at the scanning gameplay right now, you ping or you get near a big combat, it's just icons. It's little, it's numbers and stuff, icons everywhere. It's hard to sort out what you're looking at and what you should do. And I have a feeling that engineering is going to suffer from the same problem where you take a look at your schematic and it's like, I've got 17 icons I got to figure out and I don't know which one's which. So,
Yeah,
I think
dude,
it's totally fine. Just don't open the star map. Don't ping. Don't do any of the things that are bad. And it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, just don't do the
But
nail.
even then, there's gonna have to be like warnings that pop up on your HUD. They're gonna have to nail the way that warnings are presented and things because when you're in the middle of a fight or even when you're crash landing and something goes out in the back of your ship, a little tiny indicator on the side is not going to tell you that. You're going to be pulled in every direction. And I feel like even something as simply as your thrusters are overheating because control surfaces are in and you're VTOLing, there's going to have to be good warnings and good UI to give people feedback or else, engineering fails.
Yeah.
I hope
point of it.
I hope CIG takes a page out of kind of real life aircraft design when it comes to warnings. I feel like they're really missing an audio component to warnings.
A good bitching Betty.
A bitching Betty, or even just a chime. In what I fly, if you have a lower tier something that isn't right, you just get a bing and you just get a single chime.
Yeah.
If it's something that really requires your attention, it's a bing, 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 and it might even call out, door, fire, something like that, and it'll keep saying that until you acknowledge the thing.
Yeah.
That
like that.
accompanied with a big bright light would be a really good idea. Just kind of putting, engine failure at the top of your screen in tiny red text is not going to cut it.
Yeah, and they do have some of those audio warnings, like when you're close to hitting something, it'll go do 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 do, like as if it's like a proximity warning.
The background thing that you think is a beat in the song that you're playing.
Yeah. They have it in there. They need to make it more distinctive, but that's kind of the sound design
warning
guy.
klaxon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be something. Something a little more. The important thing that CIG is going to have to avoid is nuisance alarms, because if there's stuff going on constantly, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. The The more often it goes off, the less effective it is.
So let's go to the more positive side of things, because we've talked about our hopes for it. We've talked about the negatives. What do you foresee as the best parts? Like why engineering is good for the game? Cepheus, I'll start with you on that one.
Why it's good for the game?
Yeah. Like what are the positives of it that it brings to the game?
It will pretty. I'm hoping it will pretty much eliminate solo crewed capital ships.
Okay.
Which, as an Idris owner, I do not want. I cannot wait to not be able to solo my Idris anymore. I don't solo my Idris, but I don't want to be able to. I don't want to fight other people that are. That is the thing that and the capability to run around and repair things in a fight is going to extend these fights so much. Since the way it looks like they're at doing it is something like a fighter, you get a one-time repair that takes time, and that's your like get the hell out of here opportunity. A capital ship with a sufficient number of engineers should, in theory, be able to fight for a really long time, and repair things and fix things. And you've got these people running around doing stuff, and that's interesting for them. That's interesting for the people doing the other jobs in the ship. And I feel like it's going to kind of bring that why would I fly an Idris when I could fly fighters thing a lot more even of a proposition. Until we get Maelstrom on, at least, which will level that playing field even further, I feel. But I think and some complexity, I think, is going to be a good thing when it comes to why can I hop in a 240 meter long capital ship, click power on, thrusters on, and then fly and have no problems. There needs to be a little bit more knowledge required to really effectively operate something like that, I feel.
Right.
But at least once people start throwing rocks at you, that's going to be when things when it hits the fan.
Axis, what do you think?
Okay,
Positives.
there are crew requirements for capital ships for a reason, and we're not using them like Cepheus has been saying. I mean, the Polaris is, I believe, minimum 6 or 8.
6.
Mhm.
It's 6.
Yeah, 6. We need 6. So you need the pilot, co-pilot, captain, whatever on the bridge, and 2 engineers, I believe, maybe 4.
2. Yeah, I think it's 2 on the Polaris.
Yeah. It's a big ship. Anyone been back in the back bay of the Polaris? It's big. Huge double-decker engineering main back end. There's no way that should be soloable, and that is a small capital ship.
Mhm.
Assuming we get a cruiser or battle cruiser, quotes, those should never be allowed to be pilotable by single players. Ever. The Javelin has a crew requirement of 80.
Yeah.
You heard that right, chat. 80 people.
The important thing that I think is, like, even when engineering comes out, you'll be able to fly your Idris from A to B solo, I think.
Mhm.
That's not going to be just like in real life. I fly CRJs. I can hop in a CRJ and I could get it from A to B by myself.
Oh yeah.
The problem is if something goes ding, and then there's a problem in Star Citizen. If someone attacks you, if there's some sort of issue that you did not foresee, a component breaks, there's a
Breaks, yeah.
malfunction. Now you're
Who's
going
gonna
to
repair it?
really, you're going to really regret being solo. That is kind of what I envision. Is not that it's like you are unable to sit in the pilot seat because there's not enough people on board.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do it. I just want to be punished for it if I do it too often.
I'm kind of
that's kinda what I'm
curious if it's going to trail back into large and medium large ships too. The MSR has a large engineered
Oh, God.
section as well.
I hate the MSR's
That-
design. It's so stupid. Like
I know.
it's engineering. It's like this. Where do you hit the left side of the back left of the ship? That's where everything is. So you want to
No.
disable the ship? You just hit the back left with everything you got, and it's dead instantly. Like
The Paladin, I think you have to have 4 people. So
Yeah. you can
and
pilot
then
with
we have
4,
our new upcoming hotness, the Perseus.
which is
You're going to have minimum 1 engineer upcoming.
probably. I mean, when it comes in for sure. Because you've got two
Players
people
will
for the.
find
Go ahead.
sorry. Players will find ways to min max it. That is for sure. If you say you need a crew of 34 for a javelin, people will find a way to do it with 6.
Yeah.
They'll find.
They're going to do it.
Yeah, well,
But
the point
they
is
should
that
be good at it.
the point is that there's going to be 6, not
Yeah.
1. You know.
Yeah.
Tomato. Positives for engineering.
I'll go back to what Cepheus said in the beginning. It's like it's making ships fly a little bit more based around what they're made for is nice. I wholly agree, and I'm actually 100% okay with. I would say it's right for you to be able to solo any ship in this game. You should be able to sit down in the seat, figure out the way to turn the systems on, lift off, and fly where you need to go. And I think if that's what people need to hear to feel like they are safe from engineering, then CIG needs to say that a lot more. I know they've said it already, but people genuinely seem to think that you will not be able to fly certain ships because of engineering, and
Yeah.
it's just not the way. It's the same almost as with an FPS engagement. You can go and take on a dungeon solo if you want, but you might get wrecked because you're not equipped.
Yeah.
You need to fire a turret, and maybe you could do that. I totally can see people going out there with their Perseus, getting into a strategic spot where they know that other ships are going to show up, and then they just go and sit in their turret and wait. And like there's nobody else in the Perseus, you can still be a floating turret out there. And if somebody comes by and shoots you, you can go repair your components. You can replace the relays. You could even fly the ship away, but you have to change the seats. And I don't know, for some reason that doesn't seem to be getting through from CIG's messaging, that like this isn't necessarily just eliminating other things. It's just saying that everything has its own spot where you have to do it, and you gotta like pick your point. So I think the best part of this is just that it makes a ship try to at least operate more like what it's supposed to be, and it still allows people to experiment with ships if they want, and with less numbers. My favorite thing though, as always, is just its consequence, its choice. It's the fact that like I can get industrial components and put them in my stealth ship, because it might be a stealth ship, but I need it to last a long time, and I need to really beat it up. And maybe stealth components make the most sense, but because of my specific gameplay style, I'm putting industrial components in. I'm figuring out the engineering for that. Like I'm packing for my own trip. And everything that makes that sort of experience deeper, it makes spaceships feel like home, and it makes like the game feel like it can be a personalized experience, I think is good for the game.
But my positives in general are, this is going to be imagine territory, but knowing Star Citizen, CIG's like inspiration for Star Citizen, like a moment where you're flying, you get into a fight, you win, but your power plant is damaged, and maybe you're flying around in a Cutlass. So you get out of your seat, you go back to where your Cutlass power plant is, you pull it out, you repair it as you're going through, and there's sparks everywhere, and you're like, God fucking, like you're just swearing up a storm, and then you hear another ship coming by, and you're like, God, and you slam that thing back into its place. You get out, and you have to go fight again. But the fact that you were damaged, your power plant was damaged, but you could still get back in the fight, is sort of adds to that experience where you're like, yeah, I can still limp along and get things done. And if that's a solo experience, that's great. But then if you had somebody else with you, your Chewie to your Han, you could have them get out of the co-pilot seat, go back and fix it as you're trying to fly around. You're screaming back and forth at each other, trying to get things done. Like, CIG wants to create a game where, and it's pretty clear that they want to balance a lot of this around like 3 to 4 people. Their mind, 3 to 4 people is the optimum gameplay group. And having 2 to 3 people in a Cutlass makes that Cutlass a much better experience. It just comes down to balance at that point. Like Cepheus and Tomato and everyone said, I think one of the biggest problems people think is like multi-crew gameplay means if you are flying anything bigger than an Aurora, you will not function. It's like, that's never been the plan. But you might need, if you're flying like an Idris, to go down to the engineering section, start up the power core, then go all the way back up to the cockpit and then start flying your ship again. There's going to be some time requirements. And I saw some people say that like, oh yeah, people, you're adding more time to the game. It's just going to take more, and it's going to hurt the game. That's always the plan. That's been the plan for the game.
It's called gameplay.
That's gameplay.
Wow.
Like things are going to slow down. You're not going to be able to do everything fast, and that's been the process. Is that as the Star Citizen's developing, they've been adding more things that are adding more complexity, while also stripping some complexity out to make it to streamline things. But like, you're always going to have to be doing something, and that's sort of the idea. Like, yeah, your ship might be damaged and you get out, but then you, as you're quantum driving, you get out of your seat, you go back and repair your components and go forward. I
mean,
Cepheus or is it Tomato? One of y'all said like it should be like food, where like you've got to pay attention to it, but it's not. So it's not intrusive, but it's something you got to like be aware of. You know. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's like well, the whole idea of nope, I lost it.
Yeah. But like, and I know there are people who are like, well, CIG sold these ships on the idea of multi-crew being available, and it's like you being able to solo these things. Like, yeah, but not really. They always said, could you solo these? Yeah, they always said you could, but it's not optimal.
They've always had minimum crew requirements on the pages.
Yeah.
And going to be the meta once this is out. That's a nice comment.
Yeah. And I also think there's some people who are pretty confident in chat who are saying like that that like, you know, this won't affect solo capital ships, but it will stop you from being able to enjoy your cutter. And I think that's just fundamentally wrong. That's not how the game works, y'all. I don't think that's not how they're designing it. So
it won't stop you from flying your capital ship solo. It will stop you from being effective while doing so.
Yeah, and I think that's the point.
People are really missing the motivation for systems like this, and they think that CIG is just trying to hurt players for no reason. It's the more variables. I can admit like too many things in a game are probably too complex, but the more variables you can put into a game, the more different kinds of gameplay scenarios you can have, and that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to build out a lot of different professions that can take place in a lot of different places, and if you build out like survival things, NPC related things, some like physics things, you can combine all of those, and going and running the same contract 3 different times can all be different because you just have different ships or different people or equipment and stuff. And I feel like people are looking at it very cynically. I'm not saying that we shouldn't give CIG feedback and try to get them to like tone things down if it's too much, but it is supposed to be advancing the game.
Yeah, no, this was always part of the game. Is my point. This has always been part of the game. So like, why are we running away from it? You know. All right. I guess we can finish this off. We've been dancing around this whole question. We've talked do it a little bit. Is this going to be the end of solo gameplay in Star Citizen? Will it be impossible to play Star Citizen solo with engineering, or will it become so unfun, so complicated that players will not bother logging on to play Star Citizen because it's just too much work for them? Tomato, what do you think?
I think that a lot of things are going to kill this game for a lot of people in the short term and the long term. Actually, I won't specify time wise. I do think this is going to kill it for some people. Everything that comes to this game will kill it for some people, and it's CIG's call whether or not they care enough about those people or if they want to keep building the game they're building. I think that until a lot of different things happen, this game's going to feel super clunky. And you could like list these things off the top of your head. Suit lockers, for instance, allowing us to just equip our whole loadout right away is going to completely change how much people think it takes to go and run a contract. The same with eventually being able to log out anywhere you want and log back in. A better inventory system, a actual player trading app, the ability to see the prices of commodities on your mobiGlas. There are so many different like little quality of life and integral features that will come in that are going to counteract some of the things that I think feel like they're complicating the game. It's never one for one, but there's a big picture of stuff being worked on. And if you focus in on one feature that is being worked on, it's really easy to feel like the game is just like catering just to that. Some
Mhm.
people think the game is all combat all the time, no matter what. But we can see they're adding things like hauling contracts, they're updating mining contracts and all this, or mining commodities. So there are other things that you could do. And I think that it's going to ruin what people do in Star Citizen sometimes, but it's not like going to kill your ability to play solo.
Axis, same question to you. Is this the death of solo play?
I don't think it is. I think there's probably going to be some adjustments by the solo community. Again, people will figure out a way, a way to do things. And I mean, just because you can't maybe do everything in a capital ship by yourself, there's still dozens of other ships you can pilot by yourself. Maybe not effectively, but maybe with a friend from time to time. What is one of the most sold ships in the verse? The Cutlass Black, for example.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go back to the Cutlass Black and the Avenger Titan because they are small and a medium that are very ubiquitous for early gameplay. But a lot of people circle back to them because they're easy to roll out and repair,
Mhm.
even by yourself, I would think. Hopefully.
Cepheus, same question to you. Do you think this is the death of solo gameplay?
Not even close. It's the majority. What was it? The average amount of money spent by a Star Citizen player is what, $110,
Mhm.
something like that.
So
That's less than a Cutlass Black.
It's like a freelancer. No, it's
Yeah,
around a Cutlass Black, around freelancer.
around a Cutlass Black, something like that. So the average player is running either a single seat ship, or a 2-seat ship. And I feel like most of these, it's going, their first login after engineering comes in, bugs notwithstanding, is going to be, oh, I have this new diagnostic MFD. Anyway, what was I doing? And then they're just gonna go on with their day. The frequency with which we right now land at a station, land in your hangar, and you click that repair button. It's just the regular flow, right? You land in your hangar, you open up your mobiGlas, you do the triple R, and then you get on with your business. Random malfunctions are, I assume, going to be almost non-existent for those kinds of cases. And so people are just not going to think about it much. You get to the bigger ships, and I can't wait for all of the members in my org to be like, hey, why did my ship stop working? And it's like, okay, well, what were you doing? Oh, I was being shot, and there was something about a fire, and I don't know what happened. And we're like, oh, yeah, you need people for that. It's going to be the death of solo gameplay, I think, for large ships, but not for the average player. I feel like the whales are going to have a hard time. The whales without a group of people with them, they're going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
Join an org, join the Garden, join Luna Wolves, join Northern Star. Get in a group and you're going to have a better time.
Yeah.
But
Not
you
even
can
because you
still
have
do
to
it on
play
your
with
own.
them.
No.
Yeah.
It-
But just
you
so they're there.
Yeah, they're just there if you need them.
It's a resource. And if you don't have that many ships, or the ships you have are small, I don't think the viability of those is going to change. If anything, it's going to be easier to play solo because now when your ship gets, soft death, what was a soft death, you can now repair it and get on your way. You don't need somebody to come pick you up.
Yep.
So solo play might even get
Dude.
easier.
That's crazy. The idea of landing at an outpost and somebody coming around and blowing every ship up in 20 seconds and flying away is gone with this. They're going to have to target the power plants, of course, but if they don't know to target the power plants and they just shoot your ship and disable it, there is a chance you could still repair it and get out.
And they still have to get through it, they have to get through the ship. They have to know where where it is, target it and hit it. And, we're talking not too far in the future, you have armor factors comes into that, and your ballistic, like what you're using will matter. So like, there's just so much more variables. You can't just go around and just poop on people and be done.
Armor is going to change a lot of things.
Yeah.
Solo play almost gets more viable at the smaller level with this, just on account of the ability to repair stuff. For those that like flying their big ships, get friends. Every promotional thing CIG puts out for those ships shows them crewed. You do not see CIG commercials with a guy alone in a Polaris.
Yeah.
It does not exist. If you bought these things expecting to be able to do anything you want in them, who told you that? I would like to
That-
go speak with them.
Yeah.
That would actually be really funny though if on the Polaris commercial it was the guy standing on the bridge looking out and the camera backs out and there's just nobody on the
there.
ship.
That would be funny.
He's controlling it with his mind.
The voiceover is like, I called my friends, but they're at
He's
work.
Ender's best friend.
I don't think this is the death of solo gameplay either, and I do it's a bold take, but I do agree to a degree that this is also sort of a boon for solo play, because for a specific set of solo play, which is the people who are using single-seater ships up to medium ships. I think medium ships become even more viable for a solo player with this, because instead, like right now, you fly out, you get shot up, your stuff gets broken, you have to fly back to a place, land it, and get it repaired. But with this, you just go back and fix your stuff and then keep moving. You can keep it limping. It does add a little bit more complexity, because you have to it's my fire if it goes on fire, and I think that's just a balance thing. But and of course you have to repair stuff in situ. So my coolers are breaking down, I got to go fix those. But that's just gameplay. Like that's just a balance of gameplay, and
that's home.
Yeah.
Nothing sticks around long enough for it to really matter, but at some point our ships will last weeks, and it'll be nice to be able to call it home and use it like it was actually aging and wearing and tearing.
Yeah.
I can see people mooring their ships like in between planets and just various remote regions. Especially once the star map, Tomato and Paul and Cepheus, gets that remote little marker drop area where you can just drop your ship anywhere on the map, and you just anchorage out somewhere in some middle of nowhere for your cat little ship and just park there to repair. Say you don't want to go into port because you have too high a crime stat. Just fix it there.
I know so many people who already try to live out of their ships. Like Diabolus, who's a we haven't talked in a while, but he's a friend of mine. And for an entire patch cycle, he just lived out of an 890. He had his 890. He just flew it around and then just logged out in the 890 and kept go back in. And I know so many people who want to do that, to be like,
yeah, man,
get up, fly around, log out in your ship, keep moving.
The Ironclad, man, that's it.
Yeah.
The Ironclad, like 1 month in an Ironclad, and you only use the command module to fly down to planets or something.
As long as you redock,
wait.
that'd be badass.
Can't wait. We're getting so close to the point where these kinds of things are just like regular activities you can try. It's these systems that we need online for it.
The Kraken, Liberator, Ironclad, those ships are coming real soon.
Yeah.
So those are gonna be fun.
There was a mention in chat as well. We were talking about we were talking about the crew requirements, and said crew of 3 for a Vulcan, and the tagline was you can become a single man support crew, and it's like, well, you still can be. You just have to move out of the captain's seat into the drone seat and fly the drone around. And I think that's probably what most people are doing, because has anyone tried to land a ship into the to the Idris while both the Idris and the ship were moving?
Oh my god,
It's so much fun.
Most people,
I've done ops with that.
You can stop the Idris. Most people stop the Idris and take off and land from a stop, because it's just easier. So,
normal things.
And so having a Vulcan that just stops and someone gets into the seat and then pilots the little drone around to go do the thing, you can still do that. That's completely reasonable, and I think most people could do that. I think with the Vulcan, for instance, you probably having 3 people is one person flying, one person engineering, and another person flying the drone. That's why that sort of 3-person comes in.
It occurs to me the Vulcan might be one of the next ships, because they're working on repair
don't even get my hopes
fuel
up,
and
man.
rearm.
Yeah, that's too much hope. That's too much hope right there.
Unfortunately,
I mean,
unfortunately not.
Not this year, but I'm saying they are getting the framework there.
They're trying to get it in for that big event, for that tactical strike group stuff. So
cross your fingers, guys.
All right.
You're gonna get stuck like that, dude. You're gonna be crossing for a while.
A lot.
That's our discussion on engineering. Thank you to Cepheus, to Space Tomato, and Axis 0096. Make sure you check out Northern Star Alliance for the organization. Check out Space Tomato 2, Space Tomato Gaming, the Space Tomatoes, Only Toes Live, Tomato Tuesdays, all on all the platforms. Toes After Dark.
Yeah.
And you can check out Axis 0096 wherever things exist. You'll find Axis 0096. And of course, if you enjoyed this, check out us on live on twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/the Captain's Table Podcast. We do these live on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. So you can come join live, and we'll be rolling into our question and answer session. For those of you who are listening on Spotify, we should be pretty good now. I'm kind of caught up over everything. So you'll hear this before everybody else does, and you'll also hear the whole thing strung together. But if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, I break these two, put into 2 parts. So the next part is going to be our question and answer session, our After Dark section. So with that being said, thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday. The Black.